November 10th, People Not Titles podcast. The government shutdown is about to end. We have buyer and seller demographics hot off the presses, plus Chicago's luxury market hits an all-time high. People Not Titles coming at you right now. Hello, this is Steve Kaempf with the People Not Titles podcast, and we are Matt, November 10th. The shutdown is coming to an end. I'm here with Matt Lombardi, our partner, our cohort, and the Intel man. Matt, welcome to the podcast again.
Market trends. November 10th.
Matt, we're coming off of a hot viewer meetup this week, and a lot of brainstorming and a lot of great things. And it will be the first of many meetups, Matt, with many of our viewers.
Love it. Love it. Yes, very exciting. But as Steve just started out, so we're on technically day 41 of the government shutdown. But late yesterday, we got hope.
Yes.
8 senators, Democratic senators, said enough is enough and said we are going to sign off on something. And so that creates a 60-40 vote if everybody votes according to how they say they would vote. And the deal that is on the table is a stopgap funding measure that will keep the government open until at least January of 2026, part of a larger package to fund other key agencies. So there's, I think, a lot more to go into it. Mm-hmm. And then there's no guaranteed extension of the Affordable Care Act subsidies, but Democrats, they say that we're going to get a future vote on the issue, which is the center point of why the government is technically shut down. Mm-hmm. The ACA subsidies that have been out there, are they going to be funded? Are they not going to be funded? These 8 senators, I think many of them are retiring, so they don't care.
Yeah, their constituency have said, hey, listen, get us back open. We'll get you back in office. Mac, what are the next steps for this to happen?
So, number one, the Senate has to agree on the debate and time to do that. Mm-hmm. So the Senate, I think, will do that quickly. I believe the House has already been told, get your butts back in D.C. We need you here ASAP.
Great.
So Speaker of the House Johnson said, please come back to D.C. right now. And then the House ultimately has to approve this. And they're looking to get this at President Trump's desk and get this done, because anybody who's flying over this past week,
it's a crapshoot.
It's been very tough, and as we talked about last week, the psychological effect, it's beginning to affect, with the shutdown, the real estate industry. So we need positivity, we need government open, we need funds fluid, we need things happening.
Yeah, we need stability, Matt, and I'm not going to get into who won, Democrats or Republicans, because really the winners should always be the American people, and this had a big potential to stall housing, and I believe that, to your point, Matt, the confidence is back. People can get back to, there'll be some other news story, climate change, riots, whatever it is, to get the American people all roused up about again. But this is going to be put to bed, and we're going to be able to move on and get back to business as usual, which means buying homes, selling homes, investing in real estate, and worrying about the future of Americans.
Until January 30th, 2026.
Well,
we'll see.
No doubt it'll be a stopgap measure, but I believe that everyone has felt enough pain that they're not going to want to get into this again, but we'll see. Matt, other news, particularly to housing and the government, is Trump proposing a 50-year mortgage to address affordability. Let's talk about that, Matt. What's the overview?
So we've talked about on some previous issues that the federal government may want to and need to get involved in the housing industry to help jumpstart things, because as we've discussed and as you all know, it's been literally flat market nationwide the last 3 years.
And we've been stuck at the bottom, man.
We've been stuck at the bottom, and we need to move the needle. And so the administration a few months ago said we may declare a housing emergency, we may enact some things. And then this weekend, President Trump threw out a Trump social post, which I don't know if you saw it. It's pretty funny.
Yes.
Picture of Franklin Roosevelt with the 30-year mortgage and President Trump, 50-year mortgage.
Yep.
Greatest American president, something along those lines, which is pretty funny.
Yep.
And but 50-year mortgages, I've actually been around long enough, and Steve, I'm going to pick your brain later in the mortgage side of things. I've heard of this 40-year mortgages being proposed, 50-year mortgages being proposed. So this is, I don't think, anything new or revolutionary, but when the administration, and especially the president, a real estate guy, says, let's do this, people are going to take notice.
Yes.
And
Matt, and you know, Matt, my thought is payments are a psychological issue, and people don't want to go above this or go above that. And if so, they can get the barrier down to where they can think about and go, okay, I can get in. Now you can get that asset working for you on your behalf. So I think this helps a psychological factor if I can't afford it. I understand there's arguments too, strength being in debt for your whole life and all those kind of things. But remember, although you're signing a 50-year mortgage, you're not signing a 50-year contract that you're going to be in that home forever. People buy and sell these homes. So it's all about getting in, allowing that asset to build for yourself. And so I think it's a good move. And also another thing Pulte said is that he's going to want to have another issue for builders is permits and all the things they need to go through to actually develop property. So that's another thing they're going to be addressing that is not part of this year.
Yeah. So as an example for like a payment schedule, a 30-year mortgage versus a 50-year mortgage, if you use sort of the median sales price of $400,000 now at say 6.5% mortgage, a 30-year principal and interest would be $2,038 versus for a 50-year mortgage, it would be $1,822 or about $216 per month difference. So if, for a year, that would be what, about just a little over $24,000 difference in savings, psychological, but real savings.
2,400, Matt?
So 24,000 per year, or 12,000. Yeah, 24,000 for the year. If you're saving just $216 a month, 30 versus 50 years, it's 24,000.
Okay, so $216 a month times 10 is $2,160. So it's $2,400 a year savings, not 24,000. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're 100% right. That's why I was never a math major.
Hey, I love that, Matt. I hear that every 6 months or so. Steve, you're 100% right. Yes. So it is 24,000 sounded like a lot. 2,400, but still, Matt, 2,400 is 2,400. That psychological effect. Can we afford upkeep? Can we afford insurance? Can we afford taxes? All that kind of thing. Every single dollar counts towards the bucket. And then you have the $500,000 home, Matt, which is about $35,000 to $4,000 a year in savings. So Matt, I think what's going to happen, if I was an agent out there, what's a psychological effect is, for the 50-year mortgage, a lot of people, we were talking about Gen Zers and all that, and we were saying, they look at a home and go, oh, I don't want to buy the little home, I want to buy the next home up or whatever it is. This may allow people to get that additional home that they're looking for, not waiting for them to make enough money to blah, blah, blah. But this is an opportunity for them to accelerate their time getting into the market.
Correct. So there's a couple.
You're still astounded, Matt, that I was right.
No, I'm not astounded. I'm just astounded how wrong I was, which is just.
Well, Matt, you're the data guy too, so. Anyway.
So there is some legalities that need to be worked through should this come to market. Number one, the Dodd-Frank Act and its qualified mortgage rule currently do not allow mortgages longer than 30 years.
And Matt, the qualified mortgage idea is that these are the mortgages that are sellable on the market.
Correct.
And so right now it's only 30-year mortgages that can be bundled and traded. Watch The Big Short if you want to know about that. But now I believe, Matt, they're going to sign this into effect. If this is going to go, these are going to have to be qualified mortgages and not non-conforming loans.
Correct. And then there would be a legislative change where this would need to be a new law enacted by our elected officials, our government, to say that a 40 or 50-year mortgage is allowed under the current rules and regulations. I don't know where this is going to go.
Yes.
But it's an interesting concept.
What are the experts saying here, Matt?
So some of the things that point out is longer terms, the subsidized demand slows the housing market healing and reduces equity accumulation, which it does. Now, for those of you that have a mortgage and are prepaying, there's lots of tables, charts, and graphs you could look to say if you make an extra payment per year, or if you add $100, $200 each month, how that reduces your interest and then reduces the length of time 50 years to me is a long time.
It's a long time.
Like if
Matt.
I were to get a mortgage years ago, 50 years might be a little long
Matt,
for me, but that's my psychological
Yes.
scotoma, if you will.
Matt, you know, though, if you're thinking about it, and I'm not trying to be a rah-rah fan for the 50-year mortgage, but number one, there's no prepayment penalty. You can always prepay these. Let's say you're in a scenario where you are at a lower level, but you know that your career is going to accelerate. It allows you to buy, to put yourself in position to take advantage of the raises in the future. I know that's betting on the come, and some would say stay away from it. So to me, this provides another option. That's it.
I'm so happy
It's
you said
options,
that. I was
Matt.
just going to say, it provides another option. I mean, there's other, obviously, ARMs could be a
Yes.
risky, are a risky mortgage for some people. And some people may look at this who couldn't afford a house and say, you know what, my monthly payment is going to be this. I'm willing to make the jump.
Yes.
So I think it would move the needle a little bit.
It will.
So if it is allowed, which I don't see why it shouldn't,
Yes.
it's just then how will the mortgage companies then package this?
And
will
will
they be
50 year-
pushing this, and who makes more money out of, my hunch is that, and I don't know, as a former mortgage guy, is this more advantageous from a profit standpoint to go 50, 40, 30,
So
10,
yeah.
or does it not make a difference?
No, it does, Matt, because if you look at the interest paid out on a 15-year term over a 30-year term, it's a whopping difference. And if you go back to when mortgages were 20 or 15-year AM or 10-year AMs, now that is the exception, not the rule. And 30-year has been the way we do it. So the 50-year, 5 years from now, 50-year could be the way we do it, and the 30 or the 20-year could be the unicorn type of thing. Matt, what I wonder is, will investors be able to get this 50-year AM? Because that could be a real value proposition to create cash flow for the investment community. We talked about this. 25% of the market are investors. So we'll see. Typically, these amortizations are reserved for owner occupied, but that could be an interesting thing, Matt.
So as we like to say, more to come on this.
More to come on this, Matt.
But I thought, and Steve thought this was interesting to point out because this would really shake up the marketplace.
Absolutely.
And be something providing a new option for home buyers, property buyers out there.
Matt, Zillow faces class action lawsuit over alleged kickbacks. So last week, Matt, we reported that Zillow was profitable more than ever, that they got their hands in 80% of transactions. Well, this may be one of the ways they've been able to get their claws into these transactions, Matt. Give us the details on this.
So many lawsuits just keep coming down the road.
They must have a big room with a file cabinet that's labeled lawsuits.
I like to believe like these major law firms and attorneys, they just get
Oh,
together
they
and
love
say,
it.
who are we going to get this month?
Yep.
And they're like, they have a dartboard with just companies out there, and they just throw
Zillow's
it.
a big target,
So
Matt.
this one, right? So Zillow's probably got like 30% of some dartboard, and they're a lot of lawsuits. So this is just the latest lawsuit against Zillow. It's a class action lawsuit filed November 7th in Seattle, Washington. Now these are all alleged
Always alleged.
violations, and the complaint cites that it's a violation of RESPA, the Washington Consumer Protection Act, and breaches fiduciary duty by real estate agents.
How did it work, Matt?
So allegedly, agents in Zillow's Premier Agent and Flex programs were pressured to direct buyers to their, what they're calling the Zillow Home Loan Program for pre-approval. Those who sent more clients to this Zillow Home Loan Program reportedly received better and more frequent leads. So we're going to reward you positively for your actions of pushing people
so
to
we will
this.
give you a thing of value,
Yep.
and then as long as you play ball with us on the back end and don't let the consumer know.
And so the last point is agents who didn't do this could have, and many of them lost access to the lucrative Flex program. So hey,
you want the Glengarry leads, Matt.
Right? You got to push.
Yeah,
you got to put it.
You want the big, great leads. You're going to have to play ball with us and give us that mortgage business. Not because it's a better value, not because it's a better program, but so that not because it's better for your consumer, but because you'll be able to get more quality the bundle of leads that are going to hit for you, Matt.
As you said, the Glengarry
leads, Matt.
And you don't get them.
You don't get them. And consumer harm claim, Matt.
So buyers were allegedly unaware of their agent's access to Zillow leads, and that these leads were tied to steering these clients to the Zillow home loans, depriving them of unbiased mortgage advice. So yes, I'm going to put you through to Zillow home loans, and you're going to get a great deal, but maybe you're not getting a great deal. So this was part of, I'm sorry, go on.
No, Matt, how it should work is that there is nothing tied to the fact that you're referring me to the Zillow program, okay? That you are doing it because you believe it's best for the consumer, and you can actually substantiate that it is. But in this case, it was what was best for the agent.
Correct.
Allegedly.
Right. And so this is part of what they're calling Zillow's super app strategy, which the lawsuit connects the conducts to Zillow's housing super app strategy, a push to capture every stage of the home buying process. And my little note here is, this is just like what Rocket and Redfin are doing right now with the acquisition. So the super app, or you just get all sides of the market, and we're going to push you through this. Anyway, CEO of Zillow, Jeremy Waxman, said bundling services like Zillow Home Loans is key to their growth, with plans to increase cross-platform engagement to 75% this year. So anyway, the lead plaintiff out of Alaska said she didn't, you always need a lead plaintiff, so the attorneys found one in Alaska. She said, I had no idea this was going on. So anyway, Zillow previously settled a 2023 class action lawsuit tied to its older mortgage co-marketing program. And they're also facing, that Steve and I have reported on in September, a lawsuit on Zillow's Flex program for inflating homebuyer costs by taking up to 40% of the agent's commissions.
Matt, and what we're seeing is this trend of bundled services where, people kind of say, oh, they want one-stop shop, or they want this. And I agree, one-stop shopping is a great thing. But as a buyer or a seller or as an agent, you need to consider each of these things as an element for the consumer, if it's going to be good or if it's going to be bad. And as a consumer, consumers beware. Make sure you're knowledgeable. This is a big purchase. Educate yourself. There's a lot of information out there. Don't be hustled, forced, or just jammed into some kind of system that is not going to be the best for you.
Amen.
Yep.
Amen. Because yes,
we're like we're like the Ralph Nader, Matt, of real estate right now.
You have to. It's caveat emptor.
Google
buyer
Ralph Nader.
Caveat emptor. Buyer beware.
Yes. Carpe diem, Matt.
Seize the day as well, but just be aware of what you're getting into.
Brute. That's another one that we could throw out later, maybe.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
So, but yes, no matter where you are, whether it's real estate or any other transaction, just be knowledgeable and aware of what you're getting into. As Steve just said, one-stop shop. This is going to make it easier for you, which is a good thing.
Yes.
But is it in your best interest, and are you really saving not only time, but is it going to save you money, which is what you want in any major transaction?
Matt, there's a broader legal context to this, which is Zillow was also caught because they were accused of, allegedly, that because of their involvement, they were actually inflating home buyer costs by taking up to 40% of agent commissions, and yet agents still need to make their commissions, and all of a sudden the whole thing becomes bloated. And what's Zillow's response to all this, Matt?
Surprisingly, they deny all wrongdoing, Steve. And it's misrepresenting their business practices, and they are going to vigorously, not vigorously, defend it. So anyway,
well, we know
we'll see what comes into court. I mean, once again, I'm not pro plaintiff's attorney bringing these actions against anybody.
Me neither.
Because at the end of the day, they're the ones that profit more than anybody. But if this is true, you want to make it a fair market play.
Yeah, Matt, and we said the famous statement before, which was pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. And if Zillow is at the trough, nuzzling everybody out of the transaction and gobbling everything up as much as they can, that is going to be slowed down by people, particularly consumers who are voicing their displeasure. Matt, let's move on from Zillow to our second favorite topic, the NAR. Something you're familiar with, Matt. They've appointed a first ever chief data officer. What's this about?
So I got to say, I love this.
Yes.
Because I and some others years ago said this is a position that the association desperately needs to bring together all their data.
Matt, they were probably looking at some meeting notes back in the day, and they're like, Matt Lombardi, what did he say? You need a chief data. What? That clown?
This was more side conversations, but I love this.
So it's a good hire, Matt.
I think it's good. Dave Conroy, he actually has worked.
Do you know Dave, Matt?
I worked with Dave. I didn't know him well. We did not work very closely together, but he's a good guy. He's a smart guy.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. He's had 2 stints at NAR. I think from 2015 to 2018 and then 2019 to 2024 as Director of Technology and Innovation. He was a software engineer back in the day.
He's a real estate guy.
He's a real estate guy. He most recently, he's coming from the California Association of Realtors, which is, I think, the largest state association. I don't know if they're member-wise, they or Texas are 1 and 2. So he was the CTO of California Association of Realtors, which is big, but he knows his stuff. So bringing him on board, I think, is the right move. And it just continues with the CEO, Nikia Wright, changing the system, changing what they're doing with staff, moving resources. You know, I hate to see the people who have lost their jobs over this last 12-month period. And now she is backfilling with strategic hires in these different areas where there is need. So I think it's a good thing. What Conroy says is he is being hired for unifying purposeful data and an innovation agenda. Matt, it's looking at the data, bringing it together, and then making it's like your own little in-house AI resource where reading the charts, graphs, data, and numbers to say we should be here, not here, or how do we bring these data points together?
Matt, and we have Lawrence Yoon. You're a big fan of Lawrence. He has great economic data.
The People Not Titles podcast is brought to you by Land Trust Title Services, your partners for results.
Data. I'm sure that the information that NAR has in terms of brokerages, growth, and all the various things, probably the best assimilation of data that we can have. The big question is, will this benefit their members? That's what you go to immediately is, great, you've made these hires. How is it going to benefit me? And we talked about the big 15 CEO secret squirrel group that they have.
Yeah.
I hope that this is, how do we leverage data to build and grow the opportunity for agents? That's going to be the question. Not just a Zillow play of how do we sell this data or whatever it might be.
Yep. And so we've talked about the recent hires, their new CFO, Matthew Sandella. Jared Grasso was hired as their Senior Vice President of Industry Relations. Leslie Nettleford Freeman is their new VP of Legal Affairs and Brand Protection. Plus there's new other people along the way. So complete revamp.
Building the team. It sounds like the White Sox, Matt. Are they rebuilding again?
They're rebuilding.
Okay, we won't talk about the Sox. Okay, Matt. The K-shaped economy is reshaping real estate. Matt, this is a new thing into the zeitgeist now, the K-shape. And so talk to us about what that is.
So the K-shape. So you got your K over here.
Yes.
And so
give me a K.
On the upper line of the K, you have the wealthy.
Yep.
You have those with money who are doing just fine.
They don't care.
They don't care about what's happening with the inflation rate or the price of eggs. Or if a new car costs $50,000.
They don't even have a car, Matt. They have a driver.
Right, exactly. Yes. And then you have the lower leg of the K for the middle to lower income people who are worried about the economy, who are impacted by inflation, who are paying more. Well, we all are, but it's impacting them more than ever. And so it's.
And then you got that middle, Matt, which is a big drought. They're not getting their piece of the pie.
Right.
And so that's a middle income consumer.
So over the last few weeks, as you said, into the zeitgeist is this term K-shaped economy, where economists say we're experiencing this, where there are winners and losers. And so for the winners, so what's driving this? AI, consumer spending, and the stock market are still growing. So those people who are part of AI have major investments in the stock market, have real estate investments, they're doing fine, feeling good. But hiring has flattened a little bit. Inflation is still higher where we want it to be. And consumers, are starting to cut back. So there was some articles last week. I think Wendy's announced the closing of 200 restaurants last week. Chipotle CEO said, we're starting to lose money. The kids in our demographic from 18 to 24, they're not getting extra guac. We're losing money here. So when people are getting hit in the pocketbook, they're not spending extras. As a side note, I don't know where you shop for groceries, Steve. I go to multiple places. One of those is Aldi. I went there Saturday morning. I should have taken a picture because the lines at Aldi at 9:30 on a Saturday were literally 20 deep on either side.
I like my Aldi stuff, Matt. You got to be particular, but I like some of that stuff.
I agree.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, I'm like, the last time I saw lines like this in Aldi was right as the pandemic hit. And people were stocking up on everything. So I believe, just using my own eyes, that people are watching where they're spending their money. And Aldi had elderly, they had families, me just hanging out, buying stuff. And yeah, it's just a data point using just with my own eyes to see, but people are looking at what they're spending. So
Matt, when you take a look at, let's just have a sports analogy here. If you're in the NFL, you got the teams at the top and that make the playoffs. You got the teams at the bottom, they're set up for a big draft pick because they're, what do they call it, tanking or whatever they're doing, right? Then you got those teams in the middle that are between 6 and 9 or whatever the 6 and whatever. And they're 500 ball. They don't make the playoffs. They don't get a good draft pick, and they wallow in the center. So what's the lesson to us? The center, we have to continuously elevate our game, meet new people, build our skill sets so we can get into that upper version of the K, as opposed to hoping someone turns the K into an O or a P or whatever the letter is that'll work for us. Get yourself into that upper echelon. The way to do that is continuously improve your game. And if the government helps, great. If it doesn't, you're still helping yourself, man. That's my pep talk for the week.
I love it. Okay. So Jerome Powell said companies are reporting a bifurcated economy where lower income consumers are struggling and trading down, while wealthier consumers keep on spending, and that is 100% true. The wealthiest Americans are spending and keeping consumer spending at an elevated level, where others are starting to cut back.
Okay, Matt, here's my other pep talk on that one. Okay, if you're the person that's trading down because you're in that lower K, I've been in the lower K before. So what I'd be thinking about is, what are the wealthy spending their money on, and how do I get onto that side of the equation where some of that wealth flows to me because I'm providing services, goods, education, whatever it is for this group of people? That's a way to get into the upper K, Matt.
What I like is there's always been an entrepreneurial spirit with the U.S.
Yes.
And I think more so now than ever. And we were talking, I think, about this last week, Steve, where these real estate investors are entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
And many of them, they started out working 9 to 5, day jobs, whatever it may be, started their real estate investing track. And really, they manage their cash flow, their multiple properties, where they don't have to worry about 9 to 5 job. And they are generating wealth through real estate.
100%. You are the CEO of your company.
Exactly. So for the housing market, talking about the K-shaped economy, affluent homeowners hold significant advantages, equity, multiple properties, and cash to buy outright, and middle and lower income buyers are facing mounting barriers, including the higher cost of mortgages, homeowners association fees, and as we've talked about so many times, the higher insurance premiums that is affecting everybody.
Man, they're saying cash is king here.
Cash is always king.
Yes.
So, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the next market,
which is the Chicago's luxury housing market hits a record. Man, a lot of people look at it and go, oh my gosh, the rich are getting richer, or whatever it is. I'd like to think that high tide lifts all boats. And as you see that number increase for the luxury, then your home values go up and all the rest. What are the new records here, Matt?
So in the Chicago marketplace, there's the Chicago City as well as the 9-county metro market. And so we're going to cover a little bit about this, but a new record was set on November 3rd when 2 sales closed, a $4.4 million Lincoln Park home and a $4.1 million Tribune Tower condo pushed Chicago's luxury market into record territory, and it surpassed 2022's 136 total sales of $4 million homes. They're defining like the ultra luxury tier at $4 million and above. That represents just 2.2% of all sales across the Chicago metro area. And this year's prices for the ultra luxury range from $4 million to just over $31 million. And it's crazy. So Chicago proper accounted for just over 53% of luxury sales, or about 73 homes. And that was concentrated Lakeshore East, which is a lovely part of downtown, and Lincoln Park. And then Winnetka dominated suburban sales with 17 sales, followed by Hinsdale and Lake Forest. Nothing shocking there.
Matt, and I want to give a shout out to some of our luxury clients that focus on luxury. Mike LaFido does a luxury designation, teaching agents who want to get their average sales price to go up. Millie Rosenblum has done some major luxury stuff here with Baird & Warner. And I just saw that there was a home for sale. I'll get the name of the home for our next podcast, Matt. The first time it came on the market is 1957 in Winnetka, a famous home that is for sale. We'll report back on that.
Yeah.
But anyway, to your point, luxury homes are on the market. People are buying. People are selling. There's money there.
So obviously wealthy home buyers, as we just talked about in the previous story, they have disposable cash and
They're not
incomes.
worried about a 50-year mortgage, Matt.
They're not worrying about financing anything. They want to buy move-in ready properties in certain locations, and when that comes on the market, they are literally writing the check and saying, I want that property, and we'll pay a premium for it. So these luxury sales are it's booming still, whereas the rest of the market that we continually report on is languishing, flat, looking for that breakout.
Matt, and we might be crying in our Cheerios saying, oh my gosh, they're able to buy the homes I'm not able to buy. But guess what? There are home inspectors that are involved. There are appraisers that are involved. There might be mortgage people involved. There's real estate agents involved, and a plethora of other people that are part of the ecosystem that these luxury people are paying goods and services, furniture, on and on we go. So it is an economic development for those who can look at it and say, where's my opportunity here?
Yes. Yes.
Matt, what's the big picture here?
Oh, I'm sorry. I already moved on.
Sorry.
The big picture. So the Chicago market, while the housing market in Chicago is flat year over year, luxury market segment is booming.
Okay, that's a good way to put on it. Matt, we have the NAR profile of home buyers and sellers released this week. Anything interesting here?
So the profile of home buyers and sellers, if you are a regular viewer or listener of this podcast, you've heard me say it a year ago today, that I love. This is my favorite report for anybody in the real estate industry because it gives you a snapshot, insights into today's home buyers and sellers, including demographic information and other essential nuggets for you to use for your marketing. But yes, so this was just released last week, and there are some definite interesting points here. Number one, first-time buyers are at a historically low level, representing just 21% of all buyers over the last 12-month period. And so this is literally over the last 12 months. July 2024 through June 2025 is when this profile captures. Number two, the median age of first-time buyers rose to 40 years old, which is crazy. Just 10 years ago, the average age of a first-time buyer was 30 years old. You don't want your first-time buyers to be 40 years old because that shows the unaffordability of houses. The property people don't have the money saved up and aren't willing to move the needle to do that. And there's so many things to unpack here.
Matt, there's a lot of opportunity there because a lot of times we talk about why they don't, but our job and your job as a real estate professional is to talk about why they should and how they can. Those are the things I would toggle to. And there are now opportunities for first-time home buyer seminars to kind of dispel the myths of whether it's affordable or not. Getting people to think about buying in groups, like a lot of ethnics do. They buy in groups. You put a couple people together, and now they're buying a multifamily property, and now they buy their next one and their next one and their next one. So this is the opportunity. How they can and why they should be our narrative.
And for you real estate agents out there and real estate attorneys, I think this is your perfect opportunity to sort of pivot and position
Absolutely.
to the next generation, the Gen Z buyers out there, to advocate for property ownership.
Absolutely.
This is, I think, a great marketing point for you to take advantage of, to hold a seminar, a Gen Z seminar.
Celebrate
on
your
property.
first-time home buyers that you're closing.
Right.
Boom, they're in a home. They got their piece of the American dream.
Because the data shows what we're saying here, which is first-time buyers are at an all-time low. The age of first-time buyers is at an all-time high. We can help change that narrative to increase the whole first-time home buyer rate and reduce the age of the first-time buyers.
Matt, that goes to the next point, which is a large share of buyers are repeat buyers. Okay, so what you're telling me is, Matt, that if I bought a home, I want to buy another one.
Yep.
Okay, and so that just tells you the water's warm. Come on in.
Right.
It's comfy here.
So 79% of all buyers in this time period, 79% were repeat buyers.
Love it.
And so we talked about this, 30% paid cash for their home. And those are people that have built up equity, have the money,
Rolling it
and
over.
just boom,
Yep.
I'm going. 61% of all buyers were married couple, 21% were single women, good for you women, and single men, only 9%. Lagging.
Yeah.
That's a bad data point for you guys out there.
Yep. What are the motivators, Matt, and the process?
So a couple points here. The most important neighborhood factor is the quality of the neighborhood at 59%, followed by convenience and access to family and friends, 47%, which makes perfect sense.
Matt, and that just tells me, too, that if you're in a neighborhood that you like, or you're in a neighborhood you don't like, one of the best ways that you can increase the value of your home is by investing back into the quality of the neighborhood. So that's something that all of us should be involved in, is our communities.
100%. Less important now is job and commute convenience. Only 31% said I'm moving to be more convenient for the job. Average home search time was about 10 weeks, which is consistent with previous years. 88% of buyers used a real estate agent or broker in their transaction, which is, I don't know if it's an all-time high, but I know on the sell side, sellers used an agent 91% of the time, and the FSBO marketplace dropped to an all-time low of 5%.
Matt, 9 out of 10 people use an agent, and I can tell you that they're glad they did. So the agent's value has held up through all of the assault on commissions, Department of Justice, and all the rest.
Another data point that I want to point out here, which is another record high, is home sellers on average have owned their home for 11 years. So we had talked about this last week in a presentation. Years ago, it used to be the average length was you buy your first house, you live in it for 7 years. At the end of 7 years, you move from your starter house to your next house. 7 years after that, you either invest and build up the house you're in, or you move on somewhere else. It was a 7-7-7-year cycle. Throw it out the window.
11 years.
11 years at least. And there's numerous factors in that, which we've talked about, the lock-in effect that people have with super low mortgage rates gotten over the last few years. People aren't willing to move. Sellers are delisting more than ever. When they don't get the sales price that they've asked for, they're saying, we don't need to move, we're taking it off the marketplace. So there needs to be stuff, mortgage rates need to come down. 50-year mortgages, bring them to market. Let's do something to move the needle.
Yeah, Matt, and you know, when you're buying your home, well, before it used to be, hey, you buy this small place, you move into the next one. Well, if you're going to hold on to it for 11 years, maybe stretch yourself a little bit. I hate to say it, and buy a little bit more home. Buy it, you know, spend a little extra money and invest to get into the neighborhood that you want to, because you're going to be there for over a decade, more than likely. So, Matt, let's go on to generational and market trends for the various segments.
So this is, I'm going to highlight Gen Z, which are those kids aged 18 to 25. They accounted for just 3% of all buyers and 2% of sellers, a super small share. So that's where I see, and Steve, I think you
big
agree,
opportunity there,
big opportunity to move the needle in that age group.
These are smart, ambitious, hungry people that are willing to work, and they just need that narrative or the value proposition.
Yep, and so like we just said, the K shape of the marketplace, this holds true here, where there's strong participation from older and wealthier buyers who are paying cash versus affordability challenged younger first-time buyers. So hopefully we can move out of that and get it on a better level playing field.
Matt, what land trust news do we have? We have that when by the time this comes out, we'll have finished our last continuing legal education.
We had one last week in the Loop, which was outstanding.
Humdinger.
Thank you to the attorneys that all showed up there.
Yep.
Our presenters, Scott and Eric from Fidelity, do a great job. And so our next one is tomorrow, and we'll have a recap of that. But it's a big crowd coming for tomorrow. One thing that I didn't write in the notes here, but I know that we will recognize is tomorrow, the 11th, is Veterans Day.
Yes.
And you veterans out there, thank you for everything that you have done
Shout out
for our country.
Yes.
It's not unnoticed, and freedom is not free. And I know that you are involved in the military and your own family.
Yes, our daughters and my son-in-law, Ryan and Shayla, shout out to you out there in Tacoma, Washington. Thank you for your service, and just all the service people out there that have served and are serving. Thank you.
Yes.
That's what we have to say.
So that was number one, and then number two.
Number two, Matt.
Football season continues.
Yes.
And the Bears, somehow, the cardiac kids this year pull off another win.
We're 6-3, Matt.
As my son Jacob said yesterday, he just wants some fun and to have some vested interest in Sundays moving forward.
Yes.
And we have it.
And Chicago has a quarterback, so does New York, but unfortunately he had to leave the game, Matt. I think the Giants had us on the ropes, but we rope-a-doped and we took a victory. And, Matt, is it true that if the Packers lose tonight, that we will have sole possession of first place?
We are at least tied. I don't know.
Tied for first place.
Because Minnesota lost yesterday.
Yes.
Detroit, I think, might have
Detroit
might have possession.
Yeah, let's not jump ahead. Detroit is tough, but it would be great to be ahead of the Packers, and so we wish the Eagles the best of luck tonight.
Yes.
All right, Matt.
That's it.
Well, that's it. People Not Titles podcast signing off. We hope next week we will be reporting with an open government.
I'm feeling it.
Yep.
I'm feeling it.
Signing off.
Take care.
Have a great week. Okay,
Cool.
Matt. What do we want to do?
Hey, thanks for listening to the People Not Titles podcast. We are proudly sponsored by Land Trust Title Services. If you enjoyed the podcast, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. And we'd love it if you'd share our podcast with your friends. Thanks a lot.